Somewhere along the way, normal stopped feeling normal. A decent salary feels small, a regular life feels like failure, and somehow everyone around you looks richer than ever. But here's the strange part. Most people aren't actually getting poorer. They're being shown a version of reality designed to make them feel poor. Think about the last time you genuinely felt okay about where you were financially. Not rich, not even comfortable. Just okay. For most people, that moment is getting harder and harder to remember. And that's strange, because by almost every measurable standard, average incomes are up, access to goods has never been cheaper, and the average person today lives better than kings did a few centuries ago. And yet, something feels wrong. Something feels like you're always one step behind. That feeling has a name. And it's not a coincidence you have it. There's a study from Princeton economists that most people have heard of, the one that said happiness plateaus at around $75,000 a year. After that, more money doesn't really make you happier. But here's what people forget. That study was done in 2010, before Instagram became a global competition, before TikTok turned lifestyles into entertainment, before every person with a rented Lamborghini and a camera could quietly reshape how you see your own life. The world that study described no longer exists, because the question was never really about income. It was always about comparison, and comparison in 2024 has become industrialized. Here's something worth sitting with. In the 1970s, the average American saw around 500 advertisements per day. Today, that number is estimated to be somewhere between 6,000 and 10,000. And they're not just selling products anymore. They're selling identities, a better body, a better apartment, a better vacation, a better version of you. Every scroll becomes a silent judgment about your current life. And the scary part is how invisible it feels. You don't notice it happening. You just feel the emotional residue afterward. That quiet dissatisfaction, that strange feeling that your life should somehow look better than it does, even when everything is technically fine. There's a concept in psychology called the hedonic treadmill. Humans adapt terrifyingly fast. You get the raise, it feels amazing. 3 weeks later, it feels normal. You buy the car. For a month you love it, then you start noticing the newer model. This has always been true about human beings, but the internet accelerated the cycle beyond anything our brains were designed for. Comparison used to have friction. You had to physically see your neighbor's new car. You had to drive past the expensive house. Now your neighbors are everyone, every billionaire, every influencer, every entrepreneur, every 22-year-old pretending to have life figured out in Dubai, all at once. And the algorithm is very careful about who it shows you. Not average people, exceptional people, attractive people, wealthy people, people living lives dramatic enough to hold your attention, because attention is the product, and your insecurity helps generate it. This is where things get darker. The platforms are not neutral. They are engineered environments designed to maximize engagement, and nothing keeps human beings engaged quite like the feeling of inadequacy. Because when you feel behind, you keep searching, you keep scrolling, you keep consuming, you keep hoping the next piece of content will explain why everyone else seems ahead. Think about what you see when you open a short-form app at 8 a.m. Someone in a penthouse showing their morning routine. Someone casually spending your monthly rent on dinner. Someone claiming they retired at 28 while conveniently leaving out the trust fund, the investors, or the fact that they now make hundreds of thousands teaching people how to retire early. Wealth has become content, and content is performance, and performance by nature is curated. But the most fascinating part isn't the lying. It's how real the lying feels. The production quality is there. The confidence is there. The comments are full of people validating the illusion. And human beings are heavily influenced by social proof. If thousands of people agree that this lifestyle is normal, your brain starts believing it too, even when it isn't. There's a term in behavioral psychology called relative deprivation. It means people don't measure happiness by what they have. They measure it by what the people around them appear to have. For most of history, this mechanism worked reasonably well because your comparison group was small, a village, a town, maybe a workplace. But now, your comparison group is the entire planet. curated, filtered, edited, optimized for envy, and the human brain was never built for that. This is exactly where lifestyle inflation enters the picture, because once your brain accepts a higher standard of normal, your spending quietly begins to follow it. Owning a home used to feel aspirational. Now people feel embarrassed if they can't buy one before 30. One vacation per year used to feel exciting. Now social media makes it seem like everyone is flying somewhere every month. Even coffee changed. It used to just be coffee. Then it became cafe culture. Then aesthetic cafe culture. Then luxury aesthetic cafe culture, photographed under perfect lighting. And individually, none of these things seem dangerous. That's the trap. The pressure arrives slowly, quietly, one slightly upgraded expectation at a time, until your entire financial life starts feeling permanently exhausting, not because you're irresponsible, but because the baseline keeps moving. Luxury brands understood this before almost anyone else. For most of the 20th century, luxury was genuinely rare. A Rolex wasn't something you saw every day. A Hermes bag felt distant, almost mythical. Then the internet changed visibility forever. Luxury stopped being rare. It became omnipresent, not accessible, visible, and visibility changes psychology. When you see something enough times, your brain stops categorizing it as fantasy. It starts categorizing it as something you simply don't have yet. That emotional gap is incredibly profitable, because luxury brands don't actually need everyone to buy the product. They just need everyone to desire it. The aspiration itself becomes the business model. You are consuming the feeling of wanting, and that feeling never fully ends. Here's the most uncomfortable part of all this. Many people who feel financially behind are not actually doing badly by historical standards. If you earn a middle-class income in a Western country, you already live with conveniences kings couldn't dream of centuries ago. Unlimited entertainment, instant communication, access to global information, modern healthcare, food delivered to your door, and yet you open your phone and still feel poor. That gap between what you have and what you feel is one of the defining emotional experiences of modern life. And entire industries profit from maintaining that gap. The machine is not broken, it's functioning exactly as intended. But none of this means ambition is bad. Wanting a better life is deeply human. Building something meaningful is beautiful. The problem begins when your desires stop belonging to you. There's a difference between genuine ambition and manufactured dissatisfaction. One feels energizing, the other feels endless. One pushes you toward growth, the other traps you in permanent hunger. That's why so many people today feel exhausted, even while technically succeeding, because psychologically, the finish line keeps moving. Every milestone immediately becomes ordinary. Every achievement gets absorbed into a new standard. And the internet makes sure there's always someone richer, younger, smarter, happier, or more successful, waiting on the next scroll. So what do you actually do with this realization? Honestly, there's no perfect solution. You can't fully escape comparison. You can't completely disconnect from the modern world. The systems are real. The economic pressures are real. And many financial struggles are genuinely difficult, but awareness matters more than people think, because once you realize the feeling of inadequacy is being constantly manufactured around you, something changes. The feeling doesn't disappear, but it loses some of its power. You begin noticing the difference between your actual life and the emotional narrative being sold to you. And maybe the most important question becomes, behind what exactly? And according to who? Think back to the last time you genuinely felt okay. There's a good chance it had nothing to do with a number. It probably wasn't the day your salary changed, or the moment you bought something expensive. It was probably quieter than that. A conversation, a late night drive, a peaceful morning, a moment where nothing needed to be optimized, upgraded, or posted online. The modern world has become incredibly sophisticated at making people forget those moments matter, because a person who feels content is much harder to monetize. And maybe that's the most quietly radical thing you can do in a world designed to make you feel poor. Occasionally, stubbornly, refuse to believe that more is the same thing as enough.